Here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's been a minute since we've streamed on this channel. We're back today with Kyle once again. We're going to be talking all the shows, all the lore. We have a lot to catch up on. So, let's get him in here. Shelby. I'm still kind of waking up. I don't know, I've just got up pretty early, but I just can't get going today. for whatever reason. All right. The game audio a little bit quieter today. We're gonna be chatting. All right, let's go, Kyle. Yeah. Testing. 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 I can hear you. I mean, it never does, but I know. Let's see. I gotta make sure you're recorded. All right. Where is it? Say some words.
What?
Perfect. All right. We got game audio. We got me audio.
What game you on? Are you SWTORing?
I am SWTORing or whatever the hell you just said. The SWTORing, man. Did you see that? Speaking of games, I'm gonna start reading the chatting while I took a little bit of something, so I'm a little bit all over the place. My brain.
Oh man, I'm jealous. I ran out of stuff last night. I have to go get more. Drinking regular old alcohol now. But what did I see?
Ugh. Oh, did you see that No Man's Sky has a Death Star now?
What? No,
They put out a new update. Once again, another update after their last update, and now they have like a whole evil faction that's straight up like a big ass tentacle Death Star thing, and like some guy with a massive sword, and I'm like, oh my god. Called like the Swarm update or something.
I haven't seen that yet. No, I've kind of fallen off with No Man's Sky. Not gonna lie. Let's do the tests before you're all over the place. Realizes that we've been recording for an hour and none of my audio caught through.
All right. I think you're good, but let me just make sure. Oh yeah, I think it's all right.
Cool. Zach, I miss you, man. I'm so excited for this conversation today. This is gonna be great.
This is gonna be great. We got a lot to catch up on.
Oh my
God,
god,
my homework
so
too.
much. You did your homework too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Well,
I did bonus homework even. I watched all the tales.
I'm gonna be relying on my encyclopedic memory of nerd shit.
You got a lot of that. You wrote me
Dude.
a whole text about Rainbow Batman.
Why do I know these things?
I don't know.
Why can't I take this power?
He couldn't turn in his schoolwork, but damn, can he tell you about Rainbow Batman? I had a whole report.
I can't.
I was like, is there a test?
I want to take this power. I want to take this power and put it towards something useful, like, I don't know, engineering or something like that. Why it didn't help me in Spanish, not for shit. So
I've learned long ago, it's just autism.
It's just autism.
You just have a very hyper specific one.
Got a touch of the tisms. Are you streaming? Are you going to live stream?
I am streaming right now.
Oh, shit. Well, let me put your stream on.
It's on the new channel. The chill channel, as I call it. It's so much more relaxed. Less people. Less ads. It's just straight up talk.
I have to...
Eat my nuts.
I have to find my...
Right in the mic.
What?
I'm eating nuts.
Oh, okay. What's your thing called again?
Star Wars Roundtable.
Star Wars.
And if that doesn't pull it up, then just put Star Wars Roundtable 501.
Ooh,
that's the actual handle. I know. I thought you'd like that.
never looked it up on my TV before. So.
It's got a nice. Here, I'll send it to you.
My guy, is that you in the Stormtrooper mask?
What? No.
Star Wars run? No? Okay.
That's the other one. No, not that one.
Oh, that's not the right one?
No, hold on.
I just subscribed to that guy.
That's cool too. I think you did subscribe to this one.
I don't know.
There, I sent it to you.
Round Table 501?
Yeah. Got a gold logo. Very elegant. Because we're fancy people.
Are we fancy people?
Well, you pretend to be sometimes.
Well, you know.
Sometimes you have a real Sherlock Holmes, like, fancy robe, pipe out of your mouth with nothing in it. Little hat on that looked like you're ready to solve a mystery.
Well, yeah, I'm always ready to solve a mystery.
That's not true.
Where the fuck this channel is.
You find it, yep.
Yeah, I have to click all the buttons individually on my fucking remote. Just give me a second.
That old man.
Shut up. So I am subscribed to it. I'm gonna try to. YouTube is so funny. Burn through my 30,000 Star Wars subscriptions. Ah, found it.
What the hell are you doing?
I got it.
It took you 10 minutes.
You did not take me 10 minutes. Oh my god. Don't die, old man.
I'm choking on a nut.
That's not your first time. You'll be all right.
All right.
And your live stream is always on a delay for just a second to go. Oh, there it is. Yep, I'm watching you choke. It's great.
All right, that's good. That's cool.
All right. So you've done your homework.
Yep.
And okay. So we're gonna talk about Mando first, right?
That's the most recent in my brain, so yeah, it's Mando first.
Okay. So I was blown away. I was absolutely shocked when you came back, and not only did you like this movie, but you loved this movie, and it's one of your favorite Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
And that blew my mind because, you know, and I don't want anyone to get confused here. I liked this movie, but that's as far as it went. I didn't walk out of the theater being like, oh, that was fantastic cinema, or oh, that was a great Star Wars story. I walked out just like, yeah, that was okay, it was good. And there was nothing particularly I didn't like about it. I just was not blown away by it, you know? So it surprised the heck out of me that you were like, oh, I love this movie. I was like, really? My, how the tables turn. Or
you know
turn
why?
Tables.
Because
Please
your
do.
answer was kind of in the statement you just gave, where it wasn't cinema and it wasn't trying to be cinema. It felt like a prequel movie in a way that it just knew what it was. It didn't try to be. Not that the Rogue One, the Andor stuff is bad, but sometimes it feels like they're trying to make some kind of like Saving Private Ryan, and it's just like, okay, a little emotion's okay, but I don't need all this dark, depressing shit. And I realized how long that has been driving. Even like Ahsoka at times tried to be this darker, brooding, not fun thing on purpose. And I'm just like, this movie was just fun. There wasn't any made up tension, like anger. It just was like, we're gonna be a happy, fun movie. And I will say the only criticism I had is that it was basically just 2 long episodes slapped together.
Yeah.
And they should have, because at the end of the Hutt arc, I was like, okay, let's go home now. That was a good amount of sitting. And then I think you just kept, I mean, none of it was bad. I enjoyed the next bit, but I think I would have enjoyed watching it as an episode because that was just too
Sure.
long for my old bones to sit. But other than
Sure.
that, I love the the separatists technically kind of fighting the New Republic. So that's like all these
Hmm.
old eras. I was like, that's kind of cool. They just threw in stuff, and I thought the very first scenes with the walkers and stuff, that CGI was pretty shit, and I was like, oh no, this is not gonna be good. But then the rest of the movie, it looked great. I didn't have any problem with any of it. It wasn't top notch, but at no point did it feel cheap like the other movies have been. It just looked good. It was well paced, I thought, for the most part. And then Grogu had some real development, which was nice because I thought he was going to be the anchor to this movie, but he was just fine. They had some cute moments, but he was just
Hmm.
fucking brutal the whole time. God, it was great. And I watched season 1 of Mando, and I forgot how cool he was because season 3 drags him down so
Yeah.
much. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was like just beating the shit out of people. The New Republic, their squad actually was efficient for once, and it looked like just an operation gone well. And I was like, oh,
Hmm.
we don't need some kind of stupid story about some girl dying that we don't care about, like the next Rose situation. They just didn't throw any of that shit in there. It didn't have any of that annoying, like, here's a character you don't like, but we need to make a story of some type of fake family drama here about her sister that nobody gives a shit about. Yeah, it was just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a
I
good
think for
Star Wars
me,
movie.
yeah, and I don't disagree. Like I said, I liked it. I didn't dislike it by any way. I just wasn't wowed, and I think big part of that for me was just like, Star Wars has done so much little adjustments since the sequels came out, since Rey Skywalker happened, and they've had so many flops. But I mean, like with Kenobi and 2/3 of Book of Boba Fett, and it's they've really floundered, but then they really pick it up with their animation stuff. And after Dave Filoni and did his live Ahsoka series, I was just like, oh, maybe animation is just strongest where it's at in animation. And so I went in this with the expectation that, like Maul Shadowlord, which we'll talk about later, or any of the other recent like Tales that I've really liked, any of that recent stuff that has just kind of been plot revealing and lore expanding. This was just like you said. It was its own thing. It was its own adventure. You have Mando back to basics, Batmaning his way through the criminal underworld, and but it had a lot of cool things to it too. And yeah, the walkers in the beginning, that that was the only part of the movie for me, that first part, which the first action scene was great. I loved seeing him. He got his own hallway scene. Spoiler wall for anybody. But he got his own hallway scene, and he was just clearing through the stormtroopers, and I was like, that's cool. But that was the only part of the movie that felt really forced. The rest of it was just it, like you said, it was its own thing. It was just its own little side adventure. There was no that connection to the larger force, that larger Star Wars universe wasn't really there, and I think maybe that's why it missed for me. But it had a lot of strong elements. I loved seeing, well, like you said, it was reminiscent of one of the later seasons of Star Wars Rebels, where you have Rex and the clone commanders that survived to that point. Were helping Ezra and Kanan fight old separatist battle droids in that bunker, wherever that was, on that one planet. And then the Empire showed up, and it was rebels and battle droids fighting stormtroopers, which is cool to see. But it was reminiscent of that for me. I really enjoyed seeing the combination of eras, which they haven't really done too much in canon. But you did that kind of. Well, no, they're pretty separate in Battlefront 2 as well. But there was still that mix up in there that you could appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that. Um, what do you think of the huts? So my biggest issue, and I know the internet's biggest issue with the huts, is like, why would they deign to speak basic or English for those that aren't as nerdy as us? that blew my mind that Huts were like I could understand them in English. That was weird. I don't
I
know that I
liked it.
like that so much.
I
You did?
didn't at first, but then I did because I mean, I think for kids too. Like, I mean, obviously this wasn't like a kids movie, but I think it was just easier to follow, especially when you think about how much the kid was going to be talking. That would be a lot of
Hmm.
reading. I don't think they've ever used Hut in this capacity, and I think that's the only way it really would have worked. But yeah, I kind of got over. At first, it was weird, and then I got over it, and then I didn't really even think about it after that point. But yeah, I think this was well done in the. I think this is the first Star Wars live action movie in a long time that I actually like enjoyed the whole thing. Like even Rogue One, I was like, eh. Or they all like they have points where I'm like, eh, but then they have something that saves it. This I didn't have that, and it just felt like a good like collaboration between the show and how a movie could work, because it wasn't. It was independent enough that you could watch this if not having watched all 3 seasons, but it also felt tied in enough too. And I kind of like that idea going forward as far as you want to do a longer Ahsoka adventure, give her a movie. But it's not like you're starting to. The problem with all these movies is the reason I didn't like the Star Wars movie concept at all was because you have 2 hours to try to explain years worth of stuff that doesn't. You're always cutting or slicing and making it all jumbled and crappy. But this doesn't need that. You could always have like a. You could run a show aside a singular movie and give them a 2 hour super adventure, and I like that idea. I think this kind of showed me that could work.
One of the things I loved most about this movie was I twice, 2 times, legitimately thought I was like, "Oh, Mando's not going to survive the end of this movie." 2 times I was like, "Oh, this got real, real quick. They're going to kill off the hero. Grogu's going to grow up. He's going to start
We heard
talking.
an
He's going to get his
explosion
own
in
helmet."
Goodwill.
Or the Hut boy is going
We
to
gotta find one to
help
make
raise him
sure.
as a big
Huh?
brother because they made that comment about Huts living
Gotta
for
find a way to
centuries
separate
Okay.
as well as the as Yoda's people, and I was just like, oh, that's going to be the hard transition, and that's going to be Pedro Pascal's opt out of Star Wars because he's been on the fence now for it for a while. But I mean, they didn't do that in the end, and I think they left it open. But that's one of the things that blew my mind was twice I was like, oh my god, these crazy bastards are going to do it. They're going to kill off another main character because you think about the Star Wars saga as a whole. So far, the only people that survive Star Wars is Rey, Finn, and Poe.
Yeah, and I
And
think
that's it.
that is
Every
kind of
character dies.
why I think the Mandalorian works so well too. Is it's so disconnected from everything else that he can either be inserted into a storyline or just have his own, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to write around established lore and situations. He's just kind of free to do his thing. And I was surprised Pedro Pascal wasn't didn't remove his helmet more in this. I thought his big deal was not
Well,
seeing
yeah,
his face, but he had it on pretty much the whole time, which was good because when he took it
yeah.
off, it was always weird. I didn't like it.
It was weird, like because his body doesn't exactly match John Wayne's grandkid, whatever his name is,
Yeah.
the other Wayne. But I liked his response to it. He's like, the Huts were like, "We've shamed you. You'll have to live in shame forever." And I'm like, "Well, no, he's BFFs with the Queen of Mandalore. He'll just go take a bath again." Um, one of the problems with season 3 is like that problem solved for anybody that's helmet's taken off. But his response to it is like, no, I'm just gonna kill all of you. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? Star Wars has been missing that. That's good.
Yeah, no dicking around. Just
Yeah, and
gonna
well,
die.
that's the thing. That's the thing in SWTOR that we love so much is like you're playing the dark side and you get that character choice. No, I'm just gonna kill you. So it was refreshing in a way to get that. So even though the movie didn't blow me away, there were a lot of really good parts to it that I did.
Get to see it.
It was. I say it again, it wasn't a bad movie by any means. But like there was some good stuff in there. One of the things I really enjoyed, um, was because Star Wars is always on top of everything else that Star Wars is. It's always been kind of funny, and when Grogu built that little mud Yoda hut, on Igloo, and he didn't quite fit, and he's just using the force to just jam him in. I was just like, that's great.
That was a stupid joke, but yet it was so funny. It was just simple.
Oh,
and none of
my
it felt like
God.
the stupid Disney gaffes they've been going for, like the one-liner.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of that crap. And they even, like, Mando even at one point kind of mocked that joking culture in a way when he said that's my line, but he said in a real sarcastic, almost like fake way. Like he's just, or they're done with that kind of humor, which was nice.
I loved the callback to season 1, episode 1, where he just looked at that imp and he was like, I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold. And I was just like, yeah, Mando, do it.
Yeah, there's no dicking around with Mando. He just gets shit done.
Well, he lost that in season 3. He became a
did.
side character in his own show. So and his weird Thor unworthy to hold the Darksaber, but everyone else can throw it around just fine arc really diminished him in his own show. And I was just like, well, what happened to the dude that was cutting people in half with doors? Now he can't hold a lightsaber. This is weird. And like I know the lore and the history behind it. I understand what they were going for, but like also Bo-Katan picked that thing up no problem.
I think they tried to go to maybe I think they struggled initially to find that balance between him being like father character versus psycho, and I think they eventually just were like, screw it, he can be a psycho and a father character at the same time.
Yeah, I don't understand why Grogu is still wearing the same outfit.
Yeah, I don't either.
He's been wearing the same outfit for like 30 years. You know, he never once changed it. Because he's wearing those same robes during the attack on the Jedi Temple and the flashback scenes, and Killer and Beck saves them, and he never gets a costume upgrade except for like he gets a little serving dish stuck on his chest at some point. Like, is this baby gonna grow? At any point is he going to have like, he's not an inch taller. He's not an inch wider. His ears are exact same dimensions. Like, come on, Disney. I know you're trying to sell toys, but it's been 50 years, and he needs to grow. So,
yeah, but he's gonna have like a massive growth spurt.
Yeah. What I want to see for him, I want to see the fan art come true. I want to see him just like in a crazy helmet with his ears sticking out. The way teenage Yoda looked.
That would be cool.
That would be so cool. So, I wanted to ask you this question specifically because in my head, this is always forever going to be the truth of the situation. The lizard creature guy that he interacts with in the swamp, who he steals the fish from for a quick snack.
Yeah.
Forever in my mind, that's going to be an Order 66 survivor that was just happy to sit on his porch.
His deal? I mean, because
I don't know.
What was the other bounty hunter just came up to him and talked to him real quietly and then just left? So does he know him?
Yeah, right.
I assume they were like, but then they didn't really. But then he said the guy told him that he heard about him, so he didn't rat him out. So it's, I don't know. Unless like the bounty hunter just knew he was there.
Well, and the guy, the porch guy, he knew when Grogu took that fish, right? And like Grogu was being pretty sneaky about it. So my thing is like, oh, he felt that tremor in the forest. So that's definitely. I had half expected him to show up with a green lightsaber at some point during that fight, but he never did. I'm in my mind forever that weird lizard man on his rocking chair is an Order 66 survivor. He didn't do the Ben Kenobi thing. He never picked up the lightsaber again. He's like, you know what? Being a Jedi wasn't that fun anyway. I'm retired. You know, that's forever going to be cemented in my mind as canon.
I did love the whole hut palace, the old separatist base, kind of overgrown, and I liked it really cool.
Yeah, built into a stuff. Well, that was cool too, because before this, other than SWTOR, we've never seen Nalhada. That was really cool to see.
No, it did look a lot like this game too.
It did, yeah. Why were the huts, like the random huts in the palace, like because we've seen Jabba live lavishly, and we've seen the twins before in the Book of Boba Fett, and they're like carried on a litter and being fanned and stuff. Like, why were the Hutts inside the Stump Palace just like living together like Geonosians? Was I misreading that wrong? Was it supposed to be like a Roman like sex den? Is that what became of it, or like,
That was kind of
or they
my
just
thinking.
sluggy? Like it was weird, right? I expected the Hutts to be like gilded palaces, sort of deal. I was because it's their capital, is their homeworld. That was really interesting.
My thought maybe some of that was because they kind of mention, or the kid does, that when Jabba dies, it almost seems like they were maybe in fear. So maybe that's why I thought maybe they went back to that place because they thought they were safer
Sure.
than maybe a more elegant palace. Because they almost seemed like they were maybe scared of Luke, possibly.
Yeah, I mean that guy is. I mean, Luke at this point in the galaxy is the boogeyman for any wrongdoers.
Yeah.
So, with the way they left the Mandalorian movie open, because more or less this was like a side quest. You know, this was just a misadventure of his, and it shows him very, very much established and an ally of the New Republic at this point. I wonder if we will see him again in Ahsoka season 2, as Dave Filoni has mentioned that like it's basically going to be an all-out war for half the season. You know, it's Thrawn and the Night Sisters versus
How many
the
episodes
New
is this season
Republic.
going to be?
I assume it's going to be
Has to be more than
between 8 and 10 episodes. I imagine. Well, and it doesn't seem like a lot until you realize a movie's only 2 hours long.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. I guess they
But,
just get right to it and don't stick around like they did for like Obi-Wan show, then I suppose you could do it.
So like I wonder with Mando being so established, especially because like because like that one rebel pilot, that one X-wing fighter, he's in everything. You know, the Asian dude with the white beard, whose
Yeah, he is
character
sneakily in
name.
everything.
He's like the Iron Man of Star Wars. He's in all of it. So, and I love that Dave Filoni was there with his stupid cowboy hat. I love it. It's amazing.
He looked so out of place that it was great.
He didn't have one but two cameos. It's like God came down just to look around for a bit.
Did you notice the interesting camera work for this? It had like a different, almost like a lens flare look. A lot of the time, it was kind of
taking a page out of J.J. Abrams' book. Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it was kind of really noticeable in the on the Moon City that I saw a lot of kind of like they tried to go that cyberpunky noir thing, but yeah, I didn't notice it right away. I was like, it was kind of different.
So what specifically for you was the best part of the movie? What was the part you enjoyed the most?
Well, like you said, I think my loving of this movie is maybe a little overblown.
Okay.
But I love the whole movie, but not in like, none of it is, there's not one moment where I'm like, I just love this specific thing. It just kind of like felt like a good time, a good, I don't know, more than like a good Vader hallway scene or something like that's always going to get me over anything. Like, I don't want to like go back and watch this movie 500 times, but I just had like the best overall time watching a Star Wars movie where I felt like this isn't like, there's not some point that was annoying me, because there's usually every movie there's some point where I'm kind of pissed off lately, and this didn't happen. I just was kind of like, I think my expectations were something like this too, like a good romp. Like, I didn't expect, I got exactly what I expected, which usually doesn't happen, so I was happy about that. What table's off center? Shut it.
I don't know. Um. Okay, so I think for me, I I think that the biggest uh addition to the Star Wars universe that this movie gave us was Sigourney Weaver just being
Sigourney
just
Weaver.
just just be she's just being a boss lady. She's just in charge. She doesn't get a lot of screen time, but she when she's there, you're just like she's been part of this universe forever. She
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 seemed like she
belongs
did her
here. She
time.
right? She feels like
A
she feels
60-year
like a
veteran.
natural. Yeah, she feels like a natural into this universe and you question you're like, what Star Wars movie was she in before this again? Like it was just she was the greatest addition that anyone could have asked for and with such I don't want to say a small role, but like a minor role. She was very much just a support character, and I love when A-list actors are brought in to be just support characters in a smaller role because man, she just
Well, no,
everything
she
about
just
the
did her
way.
stuff too. There was no like
Yeah,
screwing around, no big like Haldo crappy
yeah.
speeches. She's just like, I'm doing my thing. I got it done. Let's go to lunch.
She was
It was
yeah, she
refreshing.
was a boss lady. She came in and she owned it, and she's like, Mando, I'm your handler. This is the way things are. You screwed this up. And Mando was like, no, no, no. They were screwing you. I cut through the red tape. She's like, oh, all right then. I love that. I loved how simple the reactions to the events of this movie were. She was just like, oh yeah, yeah, okay, that checks out. The
Yeah,
galaxy's
it was
corrupt,
great.
and we were getting bamboozled. So thanks for clearing this up for us.
Well, Mando just
You're gonna.
murders them, and she's like pissed, like, well, we need information.
He's like, well, I
Don't just
brought you
murder
the
everybody.
I brought you the dude. What do you mean you need information? You said
And then
not to
she's just
kill him. I
like,
didn't.
oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I like this. She's like, okay, all right, valid. It reminds me of like when my kids get in trouble and I'm getting into them about something, and the explanation they give me is checks out. I'm like, oh, yeah, all right.
Well, that was the other
Cool,
thing about
makes
this
sense.
movie is it had even responses to why people like other movies just say shit and they don't explain why. This one was like when Mando brought the hut back to the base instead, and it seemed like a good thing, but then she's like, you idiot, now you've double crossed the Hutts. We've been trying to get in with them for years. You just screwed up years of groundwork. Like, we
Yeah.
know they're screwing, we know they're gonna fuck us, but they were like, we need to do our best here. And then that was like, oh, okay. But she didn't like make it a huge deal. She just like, you idiot,
Mm,
do better.
yeah,
And now we figure out how to work around your mistake.
yeah, I like that. I like that. Grogu. The other thing I really liked was that we haven't seen his abilities really progress, but he's become comfortable. Like it's like when you can't level up because you can't grind out gear, but you know your combat load. It's just that's what it seemed like. He's like, oh, he knows what he's doing. He's not going to get better, but he's figured this out. He's become proficient at level 3.
Yeah.
It's just I really enjoyed that he was comfortable with his force abilities to the point where he could use it. But man, you sent me that video of the person that's never seen Star Wars before. She's like, "Where's his diaper bag? Why is he in the same outfit? Why is he running around in a bag?
Why does he have this baby?
Like, why is he fighting? Why is the baby no magic?"
That was the best.
That
I want
was
all
so
of her
funny.
reviews for everything. I've never thought about somebody just going to see one of these movies without any sort of
Yeah,
backstory.
I don't know what rock these people live under, but they are there. They are existing.
But somehow I think you could still watch this movie though, even not knowing any of that, and still have a good time. Like if you're not just don't care about overall plots, I think you could watch this movie. It's one of the few where I think you could and be like, oh, I don't understand it, but it was fun.
I really enjoyed that they didn't nerf Ambu or Ambu, whatever his name is, like they did the Cad Bane. Because Cad Bane, it was cool to see him.
Good thing we're
was cool
segueing
to
to this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cad Bane, it was cool to
He's
see
done
him
dirty.
in Book of Boba. Huh?
he's done dirty in so many shows. Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna start with talking about the Tails now. This is segue into that Tails
Well,
specific.
just hold on a second. I enjoyed that they didn't do it like he was moving because I went back and watched the Clone Wars episode. I think, oh man, who was it? I don't remember, but it was Anakin and Padme and maybe Clovis were like they were sledding down a mountain and there was an avalanche and this dude's riding his hat like a sled and he's doing aerobatic gymnastics and he's doing like that translated well to this, unlike what they did with Cad Bane and Book of Boba, and they went practical effects, and you're like, dude, you used to fly around like Iron Man. Now I think you can't even do the Batman turn. What's going on? So yeah, I really enjoyed that the Mandalorian Grogu movie didn't limit themselves to practical effects, which I know sounds weird because people are still like, oh, George Lucas killed CGI or whatever. But like, I feel like in the sequel specifically, the practical effects break the immersion at some point. Just for me, it was good in the '80s and the '70s because CGI wasn't around then. They'd really mastered practical effects, but now they just feel cheesy. So I was really happy to see that bounty hunter guy, that whole thing in the rain on top of Mando's hut, and that whole fight was probably my favorite sequence of all of it. But that was cool.
He just didn't say shit to him. He just like shut up.
Yeah, well, it almost felt like it felt incredibly not personal, and
Yeah.
at the point where like we're seeing probably the best bounty hunter in the era of the New Republic versus one of the best bounty hunters from the era of the Clone Wars, and I just that
Well, they both just understood it
cool.
too. It's like Mando wasn't pissed about it. He just like, I
No,
get it.
it was like it's a job, it's professional courtesy. Like that guy's just here, like I'm gonna kill you, but it's not personal, that sort of thing.
And the Mando fighting on like getting the roof jump on and then that trap he set. I was like, that's pretty cool. A little back and forth.
Yeah, it would have been really cool to see a true fight between the two of them without Mando trying to protect Grogu and the little Ugg guys, whatever they were.
Yeah, I agree. There was kind of but I guess
Yeah.
it sort of makes sense because then one would probably have to die.
Yeah. Well, it's always cool when you see these two different eras go head to head, and then the old one prevails in some way. It was interesting. It was cool. Anyway, Cad Bane, Tales of the Jedi, go.
Okay. So I watched all of the Tales series. I had already watched the Jedi one, and I think maybe another one, but I hadn't watched Empire or whatever the other ones were. So I binged them all, and I would say overall I enjoyed all of them except the Cad Bane one. My God, did that one suck? That is a dumb
stupid,
backstory. Right? And then like they insult his entire character because I was like, okay, the backstory, whatever. I guess that's not the worst thing. But then he goes back later. So he gets arrested, but then he comes back to the town and everybody thinks he's like some monster gangster thug when he's just been sitting in prison and hadn't really done anything. He was like a nobody before that. But then everybody's acting like he's some giant kingpin already when he's been sitting in prison for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and he's immediately just like blind, like just stupidity going like that's not his character whatsoever. He's always been calculated, cold, planning, and he doesn't make mistakes, and yet he just acted like an idiot that entire show.
They did. It's the same conversation with Vader in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Is they it's probably why they make up so much with the Vader. They strip him of his aura. In Clone Wars, he's this mysterious badass that it just emerges, and like his reputation, even to us as the audience, precedes him. And then they show him, he has this traumatic child story, and we had this weird Indiana Jones thing with the passing of the hat, and now he's that hat's kind of like the crime crown and that sort of thing. And I was just like, Deadpool Wolverine comes to mind when the side character in Deadpool from the other movies tries to talk, and Deadpool's like, "No, nope, nope, not everyone gets a speaking role." And that's kind of what I feel like they're doing, like with what's her face from Ahsoka, Morgan, the Night
Yeah.
Sister that was totally just a human. Yeah. Um, not everybody needs a backstory. Like, yes, that character is interesting. Give me a book, I'll read that. I don't need you to waste half a season of Tales on this. I want you to waste half a season of Tales telling me another Leia story, another Luke story. Give me more Kenobi. Something that doesn't suck most of it. Not every character deserves a background story, and I don't care how much you love them. Like that, showing me Cad Bane's origin made me not like Cad Bane. I was
Yeah,
just like, come
I
on.
really was that one actively the Morgan one. We can just, I guess, segue into that. That one wasn't as bad. It kind
No.
of added to her, but also her plans don't really make any sense. So she
Mm-mm.
her planet is killed by
Grievous
big
and the
government.
Separatist. Yeah.
So technically not the Empire, but she's killed by big government, and she acts like she doesn't like the establishment, but then she goes and just joins the establishment for I don't know what reason other than they give her power, and it's like,
Well, the
okay.
handsome blue man with the red eyes said, "Be my friend." So,
But she went there before him, and she's like, here's my plans for your super new starfighter. And then they were like, yeah, suck it, bitch. Don't care.
yeah.
And then Thrawn makes his move. But it's like, why was she doing all that to begin with? I don't why didn't she just gain power on her own? I don't know why the Empire really needed to be nothing she wanted to do seemed Empire. I don't know. She acted like suddenly she wants to kill the entire galaxy, and it was like, that's a little bit too much for you.
They tried to expand too much in my mind as to why she was looking for Admiral. To me, that 3 episode arc was working too hard to explain why she was able to fight Ahsoka so well and
Yeah,
Mando,
you're right.
whatever season that was, and then why they brought her. And like, the answer is because you like working with the actress, and that's a fine answer. I don't need a backstory, and just let people talk about, because that was not a character. Morgan, whatever her name, was not a character that needed a lot of explanation. I'm like, oh,
Well, and it's
generic bad
weird
guy.
because, like, in this show, it's made to believe that she's hyper intelligent, and then in Ahsoka, I mean, we all understand Thrawn's just on the next level of
Yeah,
genius when it comes to
yeah.
tactics and stuff, but she just becomes like a complete yes man, doesn't even question anything. And if you're telling me that the whole reason she was picked is because she's a super genius at developing ship designs, it's like, okay, why does she not have any input in anything? Because if that level of intelligence is obvious, she
Right.
would be.
Why isn't she working on the Death Star with
Yeah, she just seems to
Galen
completely do
Erso?
nothing but whatever Thrawn wants, which then she's just like, okay,
Yeah,
I won't question anything.
it goes back to the more you explain Star Wars, the less it makes sense, because the continuity is balanced around
Yeah.
those original films. Yeah, it doesn't add that. Yeah, those Morgan and Cad Bane were the lowest parts of the tales for me. What I did enjoy that I didn't expect to enjoy, probably because I have a thing for the Inquisitors, especially after reading Rise of the Red Blade. I loved seeing Barris's story told. I liked seeing her kind of earn her place among the Inquisitorians, and I liked seeing her become an Inquisitor and be like, "Oh, I've got rank and privileges. This is interesting," and then realize, "Oh no, this isn't who I am. I've always been a Jedi," sort of deal. I really liked seeing one of the Inquisitors come back to the light, because you don't see that. The biggest thing with Star Wars is these villains, they do a great job at setting up villains who, like, you understand their fall. You understand why they arrive where they arrive. And then it's fun to watch. Well, okay. It's fun, in air quotes, to watch them, devolve into an evil version of themselves. That's just a character arc. But not many times do you see an actual redemption story go past like what happens to Vader. He saves Luke and then he dies. What happens to Kylo Ren, Ben Solo? He saves Rey and then he dies. And that's the pattern with all the redemption arcs. Is like immediately they become good and then they die. It was cool to see that this person, even though we didn't get a lot of screen time with Barris, it was awesome to know that just like 4 years, she was helping with the underground Jedi Railroad, the underground railroad for Jedis and the hidden path, and escorting. Like she redeemed herself and she lived for years and became an old woman as a being of the light. So that was fun to watch because I feel like even with the way things ended for her, getting stabbed or whatever, I really feel like we got to see her develop from the Padawan that was Ahsoka's friend to her betrayal that resulted in Ahsoka leaving the Order, and then her rise as an Inquisitor, and then coming back to the light, and then the implication that she just was on the good side for several years before her end. And I loved seeing Barris's story, especially because that arc in Clone Wars that culminated in Ahsoka leaving the Order, there's a history there between her and Vader, her and Anakin. And it makes sense that, like, she was, because that's exactly the person the Emperor was looking for to turn into the Inquisitors. But, like, Vader kept her on ice because he straight did not, like, Anakin was petty. And that bled through to Vader. And it was cool to see that side of Anakin still existing as Vader because, you get little glimpses of him so much as just like, no, no, no. He says, okay, fine. She's a dark side user. She can be an inquisitor. Whatever. That's the impression I got from that relationship because the Inquisitorius was already just like it already had a few members. Marok was there, Fifth Brother was there. They already had a few members by the time they allowed her to join their ranks. So I thought that was cool too.
Yeah, I wish honestly that one was the whole season because that made me love her. I didn't ever really love her character that much. She always just seemed kind of one
Yeah.
dimensional. She was always portrayed as that almost anti Ahsoka, which I'm just gonna be a dick all the time. And
Yeah.
she always just had like a flat tone about her. But this made me like her, and almost I want her to be involved in something. I think she could be really cool, maybe to even pair with Cal,
That would be cool.
because I could see them both being disconnected enough, and she was kind of living that nomad life thing. I could see her maybe running into Cal somehow, and I think they'd be really cool together. I think it'd work in a live action thing too.
I
But
would
yeah, I really like that. I liked her whole personality. She was very um it's weird because it almost seems flat even at the end, but she still had like a lot of emotion in silence. And I kind of appreciated how wise she got in a short amount of time.
that's a really good not a full transition but soft transition into games because Cal Kestis is one of those, obviously Jedi 3 is it's on the horizon even though no like official statement has been put out yet, but like we know that's coming. Cal Kestis is one of those enigmatic characters in the way of Luke Skywalker where like yes, he's known, he's popular, but post his storyline, he kind of vanishes and it doesn't make sense. Post ROJ, we know Luke's building a school. We know Luke at one point reaches out to train Grogu, and eventually he establishes a new order that Ben destroys. But like Cal Kestis has his entire planet hidden from the Empire that's just there, and I would love to see, if these answers don't get if these questions don't get answered in his third game, whenever that happens, I would love to see a Tales of the Jedi centered around Cal Kestis. And I would
Mhm.
love to. There's a couple good. Our last podcast we
Often
did was
move
all about
those who
Star
are
Wars
not of
AI
the
fan
nest,
films. There's a
and
couple
they
really
stay
good
who will
ones
not
out
do the
there
believing.
that show Cal coming to Luke and helping with his order, despite what happens with that random planet. What's it called? Tantalor, I think.
Yeah.
Um, like Cal would be really cool to see um, interact with these kind of I don't want to call them legacy characters because they don't stretch all the way back. But yeah, like prequel era characters, because he is a '66 survivor himself. It'd be really interesting to see. I don't know how they build this narrative of the hidden path and on the Jedi Underground Railroad without telling his story, because that is the entire purpose of the second game, is developing the path and having a place for the new order to go. So like that can't be left unanswered in my mind.
Well, I thought of a
But
cool maybe segue would be to, um, what if Tanalorr is in the same galaxy as where Ahsoka is now? I thought that could be a really cool
so like they go
tie them together.
through when they're going through that rift or whatever, because that planet's hidden and hard to get to. So like they accidentally cross like a wormhole into an intergalactic barrier or something, and that's how Ahsoka comes back. That'd be sick.
Because they both could be like, because they both had to go through like very specific routes to go there in the galaxy. I mean, the solar system
Yeah.
could be big, so maybe they never really expanded on what's beyond Tanalorr. So maybe the planet Ahsoka's on could be right next door.
Well, that's the thing, like, right? Because like the Mortar Scods are in that universe. That's where we left off with Balin's skull,
Mhm.
and supposedly Shin Hati or whatever her name is actually going to be Mara Jade of this in canon universe. That's the big theory, anyway. But like that would be so cool because Cameron Monaghan, who plays Kel Kestis, that obviously used his likeness for the character. He's the right age. Like that dude, he's our age. He's pushing 40 as far as like where the character's at in life. Like you could seamlessly insert him, assuming he survives his third game, into where Ahsoka's at right now. Like he's the correct age. The actor is the correct age for the character to make a post
Mhm.
ROJ appearance. It's like,
Yeah,
why
I
would you
think
not do that?
people think Cal, I think, is a lot younger than he really is, because I think people look at the first game and go, "Oh, he was like 17," but he's more like mid to late 20s, right?
Yeah, I always placed him so
I thought maybe like
where
25
was it?
first game, maybe would my guess. So I was
Well,
thinking,
yeah, I would say somewhere early to mid 20s by the first game, because I think that was a 15-year jump, right, between
yeah,
where Order
you already have
66 and where
Inquisitors. They're already
yeah.
long going. There's no, so
And
that's
I
yeah.
would
You're
I
looking
would
at probably
ease
10 years at least.
as a Padawan for that first game, I would easily put him in that like 12 to 13, maybe 14 or 15 years old range.
Yeah,
Easily.
so yeah, I was thought 25 would be good for the first game, and then I don't know what the exact time jump is between games, but at least we know that there's years involved.
Mhm.
So I would
Because the
say
Empire only lasted
30s.
like 2 decades. So like all
Yeah,
these Clone Wars characters, it makes sense that they're re-emerging in Book of Boba and Mandalorian and Ahsoka and stuff, because they're all going to be like 50s to mid 40s, and like in the Star Wars universe, everyone's built like Brad Pitt and they're just healthy. So
yeah,
unless it's a hut.
true. But yeah,
But
I
I
think that
would,
could be a really
but
cool segue. Get those two because they're both similar. Like, I mean, Ahsoka's 50 something,
yeah.
Cal's 40. That would make sense. It's not going to be some weird young old thing, and they could have a whole new order over there and separate from this whole galaxy, and then you can do some cool clean slate.
Yeah, and I've always pictured my comparison that I've drawn between Luke and Ezra, right? Is that it's kind of like a Harry Potter, Neville Longbottom sort of which one's the actual chosen one sort of deal. Obviously it's Luke, obviously it's Harry Potter. But like that there are in this time living right now in post ROJ, there are four extremely powerful Jedi in Luke Skywalker, Ezra Bridger, Cal Kestis, and Ahsoka Tano. They're all alive at the same time. They're all
Mm-hmm.
Jedi. Why are they not interacting? Luke's trying to rebuild the Order. Last time we saw Cal, he was trying to rebuild the Order. Where we left off with Ahsoka, she found peace with the Clone Wars, peace with Anakin, and now she is taking on the mantle of Jedi Master to Sabine. and then Ezra, he is, you know, I don't need a lightsaber. My ally is the Force. Obviously, he's very comfortable being a Jedi, and like so, you've got these 4 Jedi that are just there, and arguably the 4 most powerful Jedi outside of Obi-Wan and Yoda. Why are they not interacting? That just
Well, that was one thing that Charlie guy made a funny video. He's like, when he started counting all the people that survived, he's like, you know, we could all just got together and just took back the government.
right. Yeah,
Like, there's like 20
that's
of us.
exactly right. They're like, it's like SEAL Team 6 decided to break up the band and never got back together when things went bad. It doesn't make any sense. It's like the
Very first
it's
episode
like,
of Clone Wars is 1 Jedi is 1,000 stormtroopers. So you get 20 left, storm the Capitol, take out Palps, back in business.
yeah. Like, why did Luke have to do this by himself? He had friends. They were there. Like, what the heck? And to that point, like, why did Supreme Leader Snoke rise to power? It makes the more you think about it, the less sense it makes. It's just they're writing themselves into separate corners, and it's like if it doesn't get answered in Ahsoka season 2 with this all-out war with Admiral Thrawn, then like, what is even the point of telling these stories?
Yeah, that's the anime plot. Like, I think there was somebody that making fun of Dragon Ball or something. Like, they said like, well, why don't we all just team up together and take him down? They're like, no, it's for honor. He needs to fight this battle by himself, and they watch him just getting beat the shit up. It's like, no,
you know what
must
they
do it
need?
alone.
They need someone like Mando to lead the way. I could bring you in warm. I could bring you in cold. Mando's in charge of the Jedi. He's got the dark saber. It's all good.
Oh, this isn't even a podcast. This is just our normal conversations. Put down a microphone.
Yeah, no, this is true.
That's probably why we went back to this format, because this is just how we just run. This is if we sit by a bonfire for
Too long.
3 hours, yeah, this is basically what it evolves into.
Mm-hmm.
Less heated though. We've been more in line lately.
Yeah, I've lowered my standards. I've lowered my standards, and I've stopped trying to defend things that just aren't good. You know, and
I will say you had that characteristic of like, you would really search for the good in something, which is it's just admirable, because you would pull hard and you'd hold on to it.
I would defend something for a while, and you know what it was? It was, we had one conversation around said bonfires where I was trying my hardest to defend episode 8, and you were just like, no, it's a bad movie. And I went home and I thought about it and I watched it again, and I was like, son of a bitch, he's right. This is a terrible movie. I'm like, that's cool. That moment was good. That's cool. I like Luke's vibe here, but like, what did they do to this poor character that makes no, like, and that for me is what really lowered my standard initially. But what broke me was Kenobi. I was just like, there's no reason it should be this terrible. Zach was right, son of a bitch. And then Ahsoka happened, and I was like, I hate a third of this show. It's so bad.
Yeah, Kenobi's what snapped me. I think the first one was, the first like real chink in the armor was when Snoke died, and all that buildup was like, I was livid. I was like, there's no way he's dead. I was like, this is gonna turn, and he's gonna come back. He's not really just dead. They built up that whole villain for a whole movie, and now he's just dead. I was like, no. And then after it was, then there's Leia in space. I was like,
yeah,
oh
Peter
my
Pan
God.
and her way through the stars, and then
So
and
that
then
was
the
my
next
first
movie
rage. But yeah, Kenobi was like at your house. I was at your house, and I remember watching that, and I was just like,
I remember that because you came over for the 2-episode premiere, and it was all of us and the kids in the living room. We were watching the movie, and I remember the first episode went by, and I was just like, I looked at you, and you looked at me, and I could see the displeasure in your eyes. And then the second episode, I was just like, okay, maybe it was just a rough pilot. We'll let that go. And then the second episode happened, and it got 0% better, and I was just like, God damn it.
Well,
I
I
am
remember. I
sick
think
of
the
being
biggest
let down.
problem, like I think we even talked about it, was not even that the show was like a terrible start, but I was just like, I think after 3 episodes, I was like, we only have 3 more left. I was like, where the hell are they going with this in 3 more
Yeah.
episodes? We
Why?
wasted
Why?
3.
Why is Reva doing a pointless Assassin's
Oh
Creed
God, Reba.
parkour?
Oh God. Okay, we got a question. Do you think Keanu Reeves? We can segue right into Maul because this is pertaining to that. Do you think Keanu Reeves? Well, actually, kind of. Do you think Keanu Reeves would play great Darth Revan? And if you've watched Maul Shadow Lord, do you think that the pink Twi'lek Devin will become Darth Talon? I
Great
think
questions.
yes. For well, I guess we'll start with Keanu because that's a whole different franchise. I don't
Go
know.
ahead.
I think he's too old, and I think he's too. I think he looks the part, but I don't know. I think it'd just be John Wicking, kind of, which maybe would work. I don't know. I don't think he has. Revan's a weird character because I actually don't particularly like him in this game. He's kind of almost exaggerated in this one. It feels like at points, but I don't know who else I would. You say, how about Jackson Rathbone as Darth Revan?
So my thing with Darth Revan, do I think Keanu would look good in the park? Sure, absolutely. Especially if they're doing a Force Ghost thing, especially if they're doing a redeemed Revan type thing. You know, Keanu's got the salt and pepper now. He's got the look, but think that I don't think that he's. I think he's overhyped as an actual actor, and I know I might catch some hate for that, but like he isn't for me someone that's going to sell the history of Revan. Yeah, his acting chops don't sell me on him in the role. Like aesthetically, yes, he looks good, but aesthetically, Alan Richardson looks good as Batman. He's a two-dimensional actor that's not that great, but he
Yeah,
looks the
that's a good
part.
point.
And I don't think looking the part, like his age, I actually feel like Keanu Reeves' age and his current appearance would work really well for a redeemed Revan arc. And I know the showrunners or all of Lucasfilm really wants to bring that aspect of the extended universe into canon. I would love to see Darth Revan make an appearance. I don't feel like Keanu Reeves is the best fit for that role.
Wait, I know. If they're not going to do anything with Starkiller live action, which I honestly don't think they should. That's too hard
No,
of a can of worms to
no.
do. I think
And
he's just.
I have a whole opinion on that too.
So
But yeah,
anyway, if
continue.
we're assuming that's not going to happen, I actually wouldn't mind Sam Witwer playing Revan because I think he could do a very good both sides of the coin. I
I
don't know
think
if
he's
he'd
going
be
to reprise
too.
his. I think he's reprising his role as the Sun in Ahsoka season 2, the Mortis Gods. I think he's going to be the dark side. I think they're.
Are
I
they doing
think
like
they
a live
confirmed.
action thing or are they doing a
Yeah.
CGI
I think
blend?
no.
Like a.
I think they confirmed that live action. He's going to, in some capacity, play the Sun in Ahsoka season 2 with that Mortis arc. Um, it's not like DC and Marvel where you got the multiverse and like this character is a different character. You know, Star Wars doesn't really do that, which I'm happy for. Um,
I think
but
Revan hasn't opened to because he hasn't been in enough. Well, he's never been. We never really have seen his character like in great detail. That wasn't 30-year-old games and stuff. So I think he's open
right.
for whatever
I would
you
love to
want to
see
make
him
him look like.
involved. Sam Witwer, as far as I'm concerned, is the biggest Star Wars nerd and the most expert in Star Wars lore on the planet. That guy knows Star Wars to such a point where like did you spend time in George Lucas's brain? Did you shrink down? Were you a little guy just living there for a little bit? You know, he just knows the universe. He
Well, if you're doing
loves
a
it
full
the way
Revan
Space
arc,
Marines love it.
like if you're going full story from Jedi to Sith back to Jedi, then you need to have somebody that has that range that
Yeah.
can play a good guy, like, is fun, but then doesn't look like a cheesy blowhard when they're trying to be evil and just doing kind of generic. And that's why I think somebody like Whitmer or insert. I think you need an actor that has some range more than people would think. I think people are kind of putting the Keanu type or like Michael Fassbender. I think has a good look, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
I've never really seen him. He always looks pissed off, and I kind of don't
Yeah.
know if he. I mean, maybe he's rangier than I give him credit for, but I think you need somebody that has
No,
almost
he's
like a
typecast.
very expression heavy person. Like, it doesn't have to be Whitmer, but somebody like him that can do somebody jovial, happy, but then
Yeah.
turn and do like a very good evil voice that doesn't have to be modulated, or like he can just get like flip that switch to being dark and you could like believe it. And that's why I don't
Yeah.
know who
I
those
think,
actors are.
honestly, I think the best actor, even if he doesn't aesthetically fit the role, I think the best actor for someone like Revan that can do a light side fall to the dark side, redeemed light side, is probably Christian Bale. That
You're-
dude, handles character evolution like no one else. And he's so versatile. You look at what he does in Batman, and then compare to what he does as the bad guy in Marvel, and it's just like, holy shit, this guy could be Batman and the Joker. That kind of actor who can do both things. That's the type of dude you want for that role.
Ironically, I think Heath Ledger would have been a great
Oh my God, yeah,
person to do that.
yeah,
He has that very charming romantic comedy, like
oh yeah,
lovable Jedi look to him, but then he could obviously go deranged. I think he would have been a shoe, but yeah, I think he
yeah.
could be an option too.
Well, he's a
Bale.
great example of someone that can do Sir Auric von Liechtenstein and then turn around and do the Joker in the same breath.
Is Bale too old now though? That's the thing, because I think if you're starting a Revan journey, if you're assuming you're going from the beginning,
Yeah.
you got to have somebody
Yeah.
that's at least in their early 30s that could pose as a 20 something.
If he wasn't already Kylo Ren, Adam Driver would have been great.
Oh God, don't you dare bring his name
No,
in here.
no, I am
stand his
going to.
nose.
Okay, he's got a bit of a schnoz. He's got a bit of a schnoz, I admit. But if you watch his stuff outside of Star Wars, especially in Marriage Story or whatever that was with ScarJo,
He always talks like he has marbles in his mouth, though. Take the marbles out of your mouth, man.
Yeah, but like in the same breath of like Schwarzenegger or Stallone, like that voice has become iconic because it's so jacked up,
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Actually, young Harrison Ford might have been fun.
I can picture Harrison Ford as no one but Han Solo forever.
That's true. Yeah, that would be it.
To the point where the Solo movie still makes me mad.
Though, like I have like the
Yeah.
30 somethings that could. Ooh, yeah, I don't know if he could pull it off though. He's not. Who's the guy that's your new Batman?
Pattinson?
No, not the other one. The one that the boys guy that keeps being floated around.
Boys guy that wants to be Batman.
The one that plays Soldier Boy.
Oh, Jensen Ackles?
Yeah, he might be he kind of looks Revan-ish. I don't know how much he could do like a happy Jedi, but I mean, yeah, he probably could. I guess you got some supernatural charm in there.
I would really love to see him in a bad guy role, just like an Imperial officer.
That's why I think he could be a cool, like Sithy Revan. Like he could just be like,
or you know what he would be? He would be good as. I could see him as like a badass bounty hunter, in some very like the trench coat and the hat and the blasters.
Ooh.
That'd be pretty sick.
Who would play Malik? You need like a real, like convincing a-hole.
I don't know. As for Darth Talon, because I mean Darth Talon exists in the far future, way after the Empire fell.
If she isn't Darth Talon, I'll be shocked.
I think that's what they're going for. I think initially they were trying to like introduce that because there's been all this fan fiction of Maul and Talon together. I don't think. I mean, obviously, point blank, she will never be Darth Talon because the
Yeah,
Sith
that's true.
rule of two is pretty strict at this point with Vader and Sidious, and Maul has been pretty upfront. He's like, I'm formally Darth. That's a title that I do not have anymore. So she will never be Darth Talon, and we know already from because Maul Shadow Lord. This is going to be a great transition. Takes place a year after Order 66. We know her, whose name I've already forgotten. She is not around by the time Darth Maul is pursuing Ezra Bridger. You know, she's so we know one way or another she leaves Maul's side. So no, I don't think she will ever become Darth Talon the way Darth Talon is given to us in the extended universe. But I do believe that she will be, at least for a time, Maul's twisted younger apprentice. But I think the way it's going to go is going to be closer to the Sith Inquisitor storyline in SWTOR, where you get to tempt your apprentice, but if you screw it up, she stays like a good guy that works for the Sith throughout that storyline. That's kind of how I see that going.
Unfortunately, I think you're right, and I wish that they would do some straight up poll and just be like, no, she's gonna be straight evil, just
Yeah,
roll with it. But I don't think
yeah,
that's probably gonna be the case, but you never know, I guess. But
yeah. Hey, I need a brief intermission. I'll be right back.
I agree with your mom. Adam Driver, he's a great dude. Something about him though irked me. And he looks like he was 45. That would be interesting to see Natalie Portman return, though.
Thousand apologies, my lord.
Oh, and I'd like to argue a statement we made earlier that I am not pushing 40. Let's get that clear right now.
Sure, you're not.
I am below that. You might be pushing 40. I am still
It's
middle
still
30s.
a few years away. It's still a few years away from me too. But yeah, Keanu Reeves probably not the greatest choice for Revan, although there are a lot of fantastic options out there. Darth Talon, probably not going to happen.
I like to see Keanu as a bounty hunter.
Right? Like, I feel like bounty hunters are open game at this point. I would love to see the Star Wars movie that's just like Star Wars bounty hunters. And it's just like all of them are going after like one Jedi, and you make the Jedi out to be kind of like how the villains see Batman, just like this scary thing, and like you see how all of them are competing with each other to get the prize. I feel like that would be really cool to see.
I think so too. Well, I guess we already got into it, so let's talk about Maul Shadow Lord.
Oh my God, let's talk about Maul Shadow Lord. I loved every second of this show, start to finish. It started a little slow for me, and the animation style, it wasn't. It did it seem fuzzy to you? Like, was it not crisp?
Initially, yes, but then I came to appreciate it because it almost had like a pastel watercolor kind of feel. And then
Right,
once
like
my
it.
eyes adjusted, I was like, this is actually beautiful.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to end up because, like, it did originally feel like, is this fuzzy? Is my TV jacked up? Did they put it out in something that like my ancient TV can't handle? What's
Am I
going
pushing
on? And then
40?
yeah, right. Am I pushing for? And then I realized that no, this is actually just like a very distinctive style that's similar to Clone Wars and Rebels and Tales of all the things, but like it's different.
Yeah, I
Especially
had
when
the
they did their
closest
landscapes and
resemblance
it was
to
just a painting.
late Clone War seasons, but then it kind of morphed into its own thing, and I think it's the
Yeah.
best looking show they've ever made.
I from yeah. So at the start of the show, I loved Maul's presence. His I like that it starts very simply. The show, the season one itself is very simply a revenge plot gone bad, and you just see, I feel like Sam Whitmer, he described it perfectly. It's bad guys versus kind of worse guys, and they did not pull any punches. I loved a little spy bot droid, although I did need to put subtitles on to see exactly what he was saying because it kind of had like a Tom
I did
Hardy
too.
Bane thing going on where it's like, like I didn't understand it, but
That's when you know you're getting old.
yeah, right. My left ear doesn't work. I need subtitles. But yeah, exactly. I loved the little spy bot. I loved that he had a little like there was that one Mandalorian who got her lungs torn out. That was she was loyal to him. She's like, no, this dude is the leader of Mandalore. He won. I'm gonna stick with this guy. I'm a loyal Mandalorian. I liked her.
I'm surprised they killed her.
Um, I'm not. The actress wanted to go. She was like Harrison Ford. I am surprised that they gave her off-screen death what she wanted. They softly confirmed that yes, Vader pulled her lungs out through her mouth. That's messed
Nice.
up. Yeah, they soft confirmed that. They're like, guys, don't tell Disney, but yeah, this shit happened. um, but I liked how he was not really consolidating power at the beginning, which is obviously what we saw him do in Clone Wars. But he was getting revenge on people that didn't come to his. He's like, hey, I was your godfather. I called my banners and none of you responded. And I like that he was kind of taking it out on him. He's like, I got to take care of this first, and then I'm going to go do what I want to do. And then he was presented with this opportunity because he reached out to Ahsoka and she didn't help him. He's like, well, I can't do this on my own. He recognizes his own limitations. I also really enjoyed that we saw him get injured. And, he was, because of his injury, Darth Maul was kind of on the ropes, but it was so cool to see like that multi double bladed lightsaber battles between him and the Inquisitors. That was so epic because that's something you don't. I mean, maybe in video games, but you don't get like a cinematic blowout thing of like a two double-bladed lightsaber matchups. That's fan films and video games. So it was so cool to see that, and like Darth Maul is like the OG double-bladed lightsaber guy. So it was cool to see him have that superiority over the Inquisitors, but because of his injury, kind of be on the ropes and be on defense for it. That was really cool. I liked that. I loved seeing him match up against the Inquisitors.
Yeah, that was, I think, my number one. I know I say this every time I talk about Star Wars, but my biggest pet peeve or thing I need to have in a show is correct power scaling. And
Yeah.
this show did it better than any I have ever watched, and it was done in a way that didn't feel contrived or trying to explain why something makes sense or why somebody randomly gets a power buff that then they don't have a year later in another show
Mm-hmm.
because nobody thought about it. Was well done. Maul was stronger than the Inquisitors, but but he struggled more with not even just the injury aside, and obviously 2v1, but at one point it was
No, yeah,
1v1. Even in the
Vader
1v1,
outclassed him.
yeah, when he was healthy, 1v1, and had the Inquisitor on the ropes, and he was gonna win, but it wasn't like it was a cakewalk. But then you have the same thing when you go back to Clone Wars and watch that. Ahsoka handles Maul with relative ease, and then you see Ahsoka go against those same two Inquisitors separately and just absolutely embarrasses them.
Yeah, well,
And that's
she
just
kills
little
them
things
both.
like that. Yeah, and it's just the
That
small things that all add up to
I
making sense.
I loved tracing those lines like a spider web, how they interconnect, because those two Inquisitors, like Ahsoka beat all three of them. She beat all three of them. She killed those two both of those Inquisitors die by Ahsoka, and she defeated Maul, and the Siege of Mandalore. I loved that connection between the three of them. That though choosing those two Inquisitors specifically, but I also loved how balanced and how well the two Inquisitors worked as a team.
Yes,
That's
that was
something
really
you
cool.
don't see. It was like seeing that in Lords of the Sith, the novel. You read those chapters where Palpatine and Vader take on the xenomorphs, I guess is
Yep.
what I always imagine them, and you reading that and you're painting this picture in your mind of these two Sith warriors working in perfect synchronization, just like the Jedi would have. And so it was really cool to see those two Inquisitors, not on a master and apprentice level, but like as a coworker, peer to peer. They do train together in the Fortress Inquisitorium. They do, spar with each other. They know each other's moves. They can work as a team to take out these Jedi. I loved seeing that, and I loved that moment where Master Daki or fucking Master Geico Gecko and Darth Talon and Darth Maul and the two Inquisitors when all of their blades clashed at the same time. I was like, oh, absolute cinema. This is so beautiful. And the thing about this show that I love most is that I so thoroughly enjoyed every second of it, even before the last episode when Vader shows up. And when he shows up, I thought, you talk about power scaling. This was the first example because Maul, and I promise I'll get to where I'm going in a second. Maul, he's the example of what it looks like had Vader like gotten real upgrades to his cybernetics. Like Maul gets scratched in the robot leg, and it's like Luke with his hand. Like he feels pain. He felt that. That hurt. And so and you see him training, which again, a beautiful sequence of him doing his own lightsaber training and all of his moves and going through the martial arts of it. And then with the single blade and then switching to double blade. And that was so cool to see him and to see yes, even injured, his power levels are here because his cybernetics are advanced. But when Darth Vader shows up, that was the true measure of power scaling interpreted ever, because just that's the first time we really saw that difference. This is something I'd been dreaming of since we were kids, and Darth Maul first showed up on the screen. You're like, oh, Darth Maul versus Darth Vader, who would win, sort of thing. And I think a lot of times people gave it to Darth Maul because Darth Vader couldn't move as well. But
Yeah.
recognizing and seeing, oh no, the Emperor really did get an upgrade when he found, because we know how he felt about Maul, that his loss was a real loss for the Emperor. But to see the upgrade, to see Vader, even, and back to the Siege of Mandalore when Ahsoka's like, "You're lucky Anakin didn't show up. The way you fight, you wouldn't have lasted long." To see that finally was so rewarding, and to see Darth Vader that's exactly how I imagine Darth Vader. I mean, I've always thought his duel with Luke in Empire Strikes Back was he's doing it one-handed. He's testing Luke. He's not really trying, that sort of deal. And, the moment Luke gets a hit on him, he takes off his hand. Or in Return of the Jedi, we see, and we're like, oh, he didn't want to kill Luke. He was conflicted. Luke used the dark side to beat him. those arguments are all good and those are all valid, but to see the Vader from lore, to see the Vader from comics who took on two Jedi and Darth Maul at the same time without breaking a sweat, to see him crashing through the walls, to see him make his debut entrance with ripping the lungs out of a Mandalorian of people, to just his absolute presence in this was not mishandled in any way, and it was the cherry on top of a great series. I loved that.
Yeah, it was. I don't think there was honestly anything I really disliked. Even the whole cop detective thing, while it wasn't the most interesting storyline in the world, I thought it was paced well enough that it wasn't dragging on to the point of like, okay, this is too much cop now. It was kind of a nice back and forth, and the way they all kind of mixed together. And then Devin showing real strength is interesting because she seems extremely powerful, and I think her potential is vast.
It's really cool because when you hear about I forgot his name, but the stunt coordinator, when he was talking the behind the scenes of the Revenge of the Sith, when he's talking about Hayden's fighting style, and he's like, Anakin fights like this, but Darth Vader fights like this. And then George Lucas talked about like when you tap into the dark side, it's not necessarily that it is more powerful, it's that you cheat, you jump ahead levels. And it was cool to see kind of that represented, how she was a Jedi Padawan, but the moment she taps into the dark side, her rage, her anger, her hatred for the death of her master, you see her kind of jump in scale. She really does. She gets a level up. She gets a XP boost. She jumps up.
And at the same time, they did a good job with showing though that the whole Yoda philosophy in general, because they did give her that boost, but then that came at the cost of her awareness went down and she got caught in stupid ploys because of that first dip into anger. And it was kind of reminiscent of Anakin's fall too, where it's you get topped up on juice, but then you forget. But then they were showing the other part of it at the beginning when she was fighting, is it Maruk on the train. They show her very observant and aware of what's going on, and she's almost like, I thought her battle intelligence was extremely high for a Padawan, and she seemed almost like a seasoned Jedi Knight the way she was calculating things and didn't seem to ever really crack under pressure and stay really calm. I was actually surprised. I think she's very, and I think if she can harness, maybe if you want to go the Talon route with her, I think if you kind of mix both of those things where she gets some of that high battle IQ mixed with the anger and the rage, then I think she could be a very formidable character if they want to go
like a Ventress level kind of character.
I think she'd be ahead of Ventress. I think she's already stronger than Ventress, to be honest.
Yeah, she just seemed like she seemed like a Padawan, like kind of like on the cusp of knighthood sort of deal.
Yeah, like Ventress, for how cool she is, seems always underperforms for some reason.
Yeah, and I like too how it wasn't really until Master Gecko
That's forever
died.
Gonna be called.
That's just his name. It's not until because she was, she got frustrated and used the Force and was able to escape. And Maul's like, you can leave whenever you want, and she found that out. But like, she was really well balanced while her master was alive. She was not. I wouldn't peg her as a Jedi that was like in danger of falling to the dark side at any point.
Well, I liked how she didn't do the annoying like, I'm a bratty teenager trope. They kind of like, she had some of that, like, I don't agree with you, but you're my master, so I'll do it. And she just kind of didn't break that, which was nice because I get tired of that whole whiny, like, I'm falling to the dark side now because I'm just tired of the suppression or something. They just kind of do the whole broody teenage annoyance. But this was like really well done where she had her point and she could see Maul's point, but then she's also like, I see why you're wrong at the same time and why you're gonna backstab us. which was she was an idiot, which was, I guess, what I'm trying to say. She seemed to have intelligence about her, that she was aware that he was conning her, but still
Yeah.
understood that he was making a point that was valid. Wait, Maul's development
Yeah.
is great, though, and this is, I think, one of the best character turns from character that doesn't say anything to he talks nonstop. But
Right.
I like the way they did it, though, because at some points when he has his mental breakdowns and you see the cracks in kind of that insanity that led him there, but he always brings himself back, which was cool to see, and how he basically is falsifying his memories to make it fit his narrative that
Yeah.
he's created in his head. And it's very, very, and I love
I
the
really,
how self-aware he is too, though. He's
yeah,
not, he doesn't go in blind, like thinking he's what he's not. And that's a
like
very,
Luke.
yeah, like he understands what he's up against and what he can't
Yeah.
win.
He
And
knows
he's,
he knows he can't beat Sidious. He absolutely knows that. He's like, I need somebody to
and he
step
liked
up
his
and
team
help me
too.
take this
Like he
out.
didn't just blindly throw them into the fire either. He's like, he gauged
Yeah.
situations where there could be losses and he didn't want to lose anybody in his squad, which was kind of, but he didn't do it in a way like you knew he cared for him, but not in a, he's still like a dick
Yeah.
sort of
I'm
way.
really excited that this is going to be their new flagship. I'm so thrilled that we're going to get, well, I hope we get, we probably will because it's popular enough, between 5 and 7 seasons of Shadow Lord that'll bridge the gap between 66 and where we see him on Rebels. Um
I
yeah,
much wish he didn't die. I,
yeah,
I get the way they did it was poetic, and it kind of felt like he couldn't, he had to do it, like try no matter what. He was at that point in his decision making that it was
I
never going
think
to
what
be
they're
complete.
doing, I think what they're doing with him is so interesting too, because I recently found out, I forgot where I saw this, read this, heard this. I'm not sure, but apparently it's come to light that George Lucas had already planned out the original, the original episode 789 with Luke, Han, and Leia. He was intended. The reason George Lucas brought him back in Clone Wars, he was intended to be the big. He was supposed to be the Snoke, the Palpatine of the sequel trilogy. George Lucas apparently
That would have been
wanted
far
him
more
to
interesting.
be. Yeah, George Lucas apparently intended for him to be like the New Republic was defeats the Empire, but their next big adversary was like organized crime under the Godfather
God, that would have
Darth
been so
Maul.
much better. Well, and then it
Right,
would
and
all
that's
make
kind of
sense
what
too,
they're.
because Maul would be one of the most powerful people at that time. Then with Sidious and Vader out of the picture, the whole thing's wide open, and he could actually establish himself, because you'd only have what, Luke, Ahsoka, and a few others that could best him. And I guess if he did his best to conceal himself the way he's been doing in the shows, he could have easily just
Mhm.
had a underground empire that was more built around staying out of in the shadows, as the show would imply, and he could more like run a shadow galaxy than a formal government, but he kind of is in charge, but nobody can stop him because they can't find him.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, they were really building him up to be
I like
like
that.
like Marvel's Kingpin, where you didn't even say the name Kingpin.
Thank you.
He's just like this force of fear and power in a corner of the galaxy that secretly controls everything. That would have been really cool to see. I accepted his death, and Darth Maul has always been a fan favorite. Whenever he resurrects, so to speak, or shows up, everyone loses their damn minds because he's such a compelling and creative and great character. But like both times that he quote dies or is defeated, it's either by Obi-Wan or it's by the Emperor, and like every time he meets his end, it's acceptable because he's taken out by someone that is just more powerful. But like no one should ever be sleeping on Darth Maul. He is a force of nature. He's the one Sidious originally, and Sidious raised him. He's the one he intended to enact his plan with. And
Yeah, I think that's a
it's
missed
cool.
opportunity. But I don't think his death was
Well,
terrible either. I can totally understand
yeah,
his like obsession with not letting that go. But then,
yeah,
yeah, there was a lot of potential for a whole. Which I mean, we're gonna see a
yeah.
lot more of it in this show, I think. Which
Right.
maybe it'll less
I'm
than
really
that.
excited. I'm really excited to see it go forward because at some point he lets go of trying to be the crime boss. At some point he lets go of his revenge on Sidious. And by the time of his death in Rebels, his mind is completely on finding Kenobi. He's like, "Well, I can't do anything else. At least I'm going to kill this bastard." I'm excited to see him get to that point because you just know the same way you knew the prequels were building to Anakin becoming Vader. You just know that this show, however many seasons it gets, it's building towards where we see him and on what's that word? Was it Malachor? Um, where that Sith temple was, where they all fight.
Yes.
I think it's Malachor. Yeah, with the holocron and all that stuff. That would be. I love Darth Maul. That show so much. That was so good. I liked that they capped it with Vader, and the way they did Vader too was such a relief because
Didn't say
Vader
a
has been
damn word.
popping up. He's been popping up everywhere, and like I'm never disappointed to see Vader. And anytime this guy comes on the screen, video games, television, movies, whatever, anytime Vader shows up, it's an oh shit moment. Like just got real. But I feel like they've been just inserting him to like, guys, our story's weak. What are we gonna do? Bring in Darth Vader. You
Yeah.
know, and in a way, it's almost gotten to the point where they're just it's become a lazy storytelling technique. Not that they've ever really let us down with Vader, not truly, um, but like it's become this thing where they're just like, yeah, I don't know what else to do. Darth Vader.
Hmm.
But this time, but like this one, it makes sense. Like Darth Maul was a big enough threat at the time of the Clone Wars that like Sidious did not leave Coruscant for shit. He did not leave. But as soon as Darth Maul started making moves on Mandalore, he left and went to take care of that situation himself. So it makes sense that when Darth Maul finally shows up after Order 66, who's the Emperor going to send? Not just two Inquisitors. It's like in the scope of the story and the stakes of that galaxy, it made sense that Vader would be there. And for him to show up the way he showed up, for him to be as overwhelmingly powerful as he was, even with the limitations of his suit, even only being a year after his fall, like that was such a special moment. That whole episode was just special to see. And like it was badass and it was cool and it was all these things, but on top of it all, it was just special. And I'm so happy they did it. I never want to see them do it again.
Yeah, I agree. That was perfect. I'm glad he didn't monologue and
No, he didn't say
just
a fucking word.
just get going because it wouldn't make sense. I mean, it wouldn't. It kind of makes sense with some of his other encounters where he has stuff to say. It almost like pump himself up in a way to not
Yeah.
get blind his emotions. But then with Maul, he doesn't really have, unless he wanted to really hold a grudge against trying to run him over.
Yeah, no.
But that would have been funny though. I remember
And
when you tried to run me over, bitch.
in my mind, he didn't say anything, and he was using one arm because, Hayden says it best in with the whole high ground thing. The reason he jumped over Obi-Wan to begin with is because, like, growing up, he heard about how great Obi-Wan's defeat of Darth Maul was, and now as Vader, as the Sith, as the apprentice that replaced the replacement sort of deal, he's just rolling over Darth Maul while fighting two other Jedi at the same time. It felt like Anakin was just enjoying himself. I could just see him with his stupid little sinister smile and his yellow eyes behind that mask. He was just like, this is the guy Obi-Wan was talking about.
And you felt Maul's fear too, which was great.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
as it went
that
on.
realization mid-fight, oh shit, this is not an Inquisitor.
But I do love how smart he stays even when he's afraid. Like you could tell he was scared, but he was still thinking about what's my next
Right.
move.
He's still a warrior. He's still thinking tactically. He's like, Maul is smart. That's why he was able to rise to power.
Like he was still planning that whole Devon apprenticeship while he's in trouble. He's like, how can I still get her as my apprentice here without us all dying?
How can I make this work? He says, 2 birds, 1 stone. We'll just sacrifice Master Gecko, and it'll all be good.
And I loved his respect for him. That was almost surprising to a degree. I mean, he was very, obviously he knew he was gonna get rid of him, but he did actually seem genuine when he was like, yeah, let's see what this guy has to say. He's not, he knows what he's talking about, which was cool. I like that. And that's kind of why I wish they would have kept him alive, because I think there was some maybe future where he is redeemed of sorts and maybe could be a force for good.
No,
somewhat.
I never want to see that. I want Darth Maul just to be the bad guy. I want him to be a bad guy that makes sense. He's like, yeah, you know what? I'll go along with it. His alliance with the good guys made sense. He's like, I need to get off world. These guys, I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to hurt you.
The one reason I think that is because I read a fan story that was about basically the battle in Rebels happens where him and Obi-Wan fight, but instead of dying, Obi-Wan saves him, like heals him up, and then he wakes up and he's basically like, why did you save me? I'm your enemy. And then when Obi-Wan just goes on a whole rant about like, whatever, don't care.
he goes off to start the Dark Jedi Order with Reva.
Yeah. And then Maul's Maul's like, well, if I don't have this like burning hatred for you because you won't even fight me, what do I have? And then Obi-Wan's like, well, that's for you to find out your way in life. So I could have saw some future of that, like where
you mean when Obi-Wan was like, I don't know, figure it the fuck out?
Maybe not even like a redeemed Maul, but I kind of would like maybe an old man Maul where he kind of goes more around as like a traveler, kind of like maybe a Barriss type of character where he just kind of maybe helps out in spots, but is mostly, maybe he has like apprentice or something and you get kind of a cool old man moments.
I really like how Maul behaves like the SWTOR Sith. You know,
you're right.
It's not like he's intrinsically evil, which I mean, obviously he is. He's a bad guy. You know, he will just straight up murk somebody to get his way.
What did Sam Witwer say? He's like 80% evil.
Yeah. But like it's that this is how he was raised. This is just like this is essentially just like what he was, you know, the morality we're taught as children. This is just like, you know, he was raised by Darth Sidious. You know, he was like the Sith of the Old Republic who were raised in the Sith Empire. They weren't necessarily evil, even though they were bad guys. They were just like, you know, this is our way of seeing the Force. This is our way of thinking, you know, you have power. That power serves, you know, the Sith's whole approach to the Force is not one of balance. It's the whole, you bend the Force, you conquer this power. It is meant to serve you. That's why you can tap into it. As opposed to the Jedi who were very much the opposite in their train of thought. But like his whole attitude towards the quote heroes of that show, the Jedi and you know, the policeman mustache and his kid, and it was cool to kind of see that breadth of the extended universe that they're slowly working into canon with Mando and with Tales of the Jedi and with this show. You get that larger explanation kind of pushed in there subtly, which I really like.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. That's why I think his character's so versatile right now. It just seems like there'd be so many options just for his, willingly. You could do like mission things where like you could have him team up with an Ahsoka or something like that, where there's a shared goal and like it's established like we don't like each other necessarily, but we're gonna work together. And I think he is willing to do that, which is kind of cool. Instead of like just the die on my hill normal Sith, he's very calculated, and he knows that if we need to do something together to achieve a goal, I'll do it, which
Yeah.
which I think opens up so many story opportunities for him.
It's really cool too because like this is what I wanted the Acolyte to be. I wanted a show about bad guys. I didn't care about a Jedi mystery about surrounding the Sith. I think this is the show I wanted Acolyte to be, just like a true bad guy show, um, with interactions with good characters. And I just I love that they're going for it. They're and knowing where Maul ends up. Well, that's part of what makes the Clone Wars fun, right? Like everybody knows, like there'll be certain Jedi characters that were in the movies that show up, like Plo Koon. They exploded Plo Koon's story. We know he dies in a fire explosion during Order 66. Keontae Moody, we know they shoot the hell out of him on Megiddo. But like they gave these characters story arcs, and they added to their lore, they're added to their history. And Anakin Skywalker, General Skywalker, we know he ends up as Vader. And, they, with the Mortis arc and some of the other things, they kind of like hint at that future that's looming over them. Like, we know where Darth Maul ends up. We know Obi-Wan's going to kill him on Tatooine. We know he's a crime boss. By the time Han Solo is doing his misadventures with Khaleesi. And getting the Millennium Falcon and making the Kessel Run. So it's cool that knowing where this character comes up, but having all this space to just tell original stories and to make it fit. It's one of those infuriating things that it's one of those infuriating things that Star Wars does, where it just tries to match its own canon, but they're doing it right.
Yeah, that's kind of why I just want a new universe in general, is to not be tied to things, because like you said, it is hard to. I mean, good writing can solve any problem. Like Molly, like you said, we know where the character ends up. So usually that means false tension that isn't there, because we know this character survives another however many years. So it's like, how am I supposed to care about the situation? And that's what I think Star Wars is lacking a lot of, is just lack of real like plot twisting or any sort of. It's all very predictable because we know this character is going to end up in another movie. So it's just like, okay, why do I care about your situation you're going through right now? And right. Or it's either that or just crappy new characters that nobody likes, and it's just hard to. That's why I kind of want maybe characters we know, like Ahsoka or Cal or whatever, somebody that can get detached from this universe, that maybe has some sort of cool personality trait or something that we can go into it like really not knowing. I'd love to have a series where it's just, I don't know what's going to happen. And that's, I mean, obviously with Maul show, we know that we don't know what's going to happen, but we know the arch, like maybe there's a shock killing coming up, like we don't expect. And like that kind of would be like fun to just have a show where let's just spitball theories of what could happen, because we have no idea. And that's, I kind of miss that.
Yeah, I think the ultimate what ifs with Maul show coming up is Order 66 survivors. Who's he going to come across? Did Mace survive his fall from the window? That did Plo actually survive his crash? Did any of the Jedi, Order 66
problem
survivors?
With that though is then you run into like, what the hell were these characters doing when there was a problem? And that's kind of what I think a lot of this is coming around to, because it's like, well, where was Ahsoka during the original movies? Well, she didn't exist. But it's just like running into stuff like that where
she didn't exist. Exactly. Why was the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker not working with his son to actively return him to the light? Yeah, no, my issue with them telling new stories is they're all doing it in the same, like within the same 100-year block, really within the same 65-year block. And it's like, okay, so was this just like a really bad century for the galaxy, because they move from one apocalypse to the next, And it's like, I'm excited for Ahsoka season 2 for this big war, because I want to see all these legacy characters interact with each other. But for no second am I like on my hands and sitting on my hands, just like praying something doesn't go horribly wrong, because like I know the events of whatever's about to happen is still going to be okay, because the New Republic still lasts by the time we get to episode 7, and Luke still builds his temple, it still falls apart, but like, whereas
what would you rather have
something.
Here's a question. Would you rather have this is in the vein of what you're talking about. Would you rather have a new universe with established characters like, I don't know, just Ahsoka, Ezra, Sabine, Cal, whoever you want to throw in there that can get out of this universe? It's completely separate, new things, new stories with those characters. Or would you rather go to something like a new Old Republic and just completely start from scratch with no characters and you
Old
have to build
Republic.
everything?
I would rather there be an Old Republic, and here's why. I love the original trilogy so much, even though in the scope of Star Wars as it sits today, they kind of stand out as like not really believable in the lore. But I love the original Star Wars so much that I don't want to see it reimagined as much fun as it is to think about what if this, when my imagination creates a better plot than these Hollywood writers, there's a little bit of a problem, and I'd love to correct that. But they've added so much stuff that they would just have to completely nix, that they would kill half the universe, and that would spoil original Star Wars for me. Whereas in an Old Republic show, something that's like a millennia apart, that's more believable that there would be it's more believable that there would be an apocalypse 2,000 years before the Skywalker saga than there is that there's like 6 apocalypses during the Skywalker saga. You're like, did they save the galaxy or not? Did they had the ending celebration, the triumphant music, just wait a year and it all goes to shit again. Versus, do I believe there should be a chosen one prophecy every couple thousand years? That would make sense. They defeated an evil. A long time has passed between then and it's like the original cinematic for SWTOR, right? That starts with Darth Malgus attacking the temple, and he's telling the story. You thought we were gone. You thought we were this. And we were just lying in wait, and now we're back. And the Jedi are like, oh my God, the Sith Empire has returned, and now it's this thing. That's more believable to me than believing that you had the Galactic Civil War, which culminates in Luke defeating both Vader and the Emperor, and then the Empire falls, the New Republic rises, but now Grand Admiral Thrawn is back, and we're just going to go back into another Civil War. And, I'm excited to see it, but it's not really like the impact of the original story doesn't land because it's completely invalidated because there's a new threat 6 years later. Whereas in the Old Republic, it's believable that the events of the Skywalker saga can happen a couple thousand years after the last major thing. It's like the fall of Rome doesn't happen every 3 years.
Well, that's the thing is I think in an Old Republic situation, you wouldn't have to even have a chosen one prophecy because it's just, you have a much more compelling world with Sith, the Empire, the Republic, the Jedi all working in tandem, and the Sith are not a covert 2-person. And I think okay, so my answer would also be the Old Republic, but my fear is had the recent success of Shadow Lord and this Mando movie and the newer stuff that Dave and I guess just Whitmer seems to be just making himself involved now and everything, which is great. I think he might be single-handedly saving the whole franchise, and I don't think they realize how much. I don't think Disney realizes how important Whitmer is, and if he ever goes anywhere, I think they might realize that really quick. But that aside, I think if he's involved, I think an Old Republic thing could be great. I wouldn't trust Disney to have done it before because they would have just made them so weak. That's the thing I love about the Clone Wars or the Old Republic era is that the Jedi and the Sith are vastly stronger than they are in our time. And I think only Yoda and Sidious could maybe be dropped back in this era and be competitive right away. I think Anakin, he could be, he would train himself to get there. He has that sort of potential and stuff, but I don't think if he was dropped right back, I don't even think Revenge of the Sith Anakin would put up a fight against like Jay Vizsla or not Jay Vizsla.
I disagree, but that's a different,
I mean, he could fight. He could put up a fight, but I don't think he could best the Jedi Masters of this era right away, without any training or whatever. No, I'm saying best any of the current Jedi or Sith here. I think they're just in a whole nother level. But I think he can obviously get there, but I think that Disney would have to like. I just like how strong everybody is. I think you could have a lot more compelling battles and all sorts of cool stuff going on, power plays. Like, I make a Game of Thrones type of thing where you have all those factions that are part of like vying for power. There's a lot you could do with the Old Republic that I think would just make for compelling cinema.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
yeah,
I think the Skywalker era, I don't feel like Mace Windu or Obi-Wan would have been High Council, especially leaders of the Jedi High Council in the Old Republic era. But for no second do I believe that like Plo Koon wouldn't have been. And you know, it's just we don't get to see their power. But I mean, Obi-Wan, like, don't sleep on Obi-Wan. I know he's kind of like
okay, I'm not okay.
catch
Maybe
22, but like,
the
but
top
like
of the
he is
creme
the
de la
Sith Slayer,
creme
you know,
of our current era council obviously
Yeah.
would still be very good in this era. I don't
Yeah.
like you could argue that they would, but I think I'm talking about more like the entirety of the order is just like your weakest people in the order here are probably like giving a Jedi Master in the current timeline like a run. Like they're just, I think as a whole, both, I think it's just
Yeah.
power breeds power, and they're constantly battling through shit all the time.
Yeah.
They're like the whole
Like,
order's battling.
I don't
in
think
war.
Anakin or Obi-Wan would have held a candle to like the hero of Tython. But I think maybe Luke could have kept pace with him. At least Grandmaster Luke from the extended universe could have kept pace with him. I don't think Darth Maul would have ever been able to run pace with the voice of the Emperor or the Wrath of the Emperor from SWTOR. But
But Darth
do
Maul would
think,
probably be a good example of like your basic like Sith soldier.
Yeah.
I think he'd be like your really good.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
think
but
he
that's
would
just
have
like
been.
your baseline of what you're dealing with.
I think, yeah, no, I think he would have definitely made Darth. In that world, I think he would have definitely made Darth, but I don't feel like he would have been a Dark Council member. Whereas
I don't think so
Sidious,
either.
I could. Whereas Sidious, I could totally see Sidious being on the Dark Council. Maybe not the leader of the Dark Council, but with what we know about like how into Sith alchemy he was, and how into how knowledgeable he was in lightsaber combat, and how fluid he was in lightsaber combat, and how powerful he was with his dark side abilities. I do think Sidious would have flawlessly transitioned into as a Dark Council member, but I don't think he would have been.
I think he would have thrived partly because
Yeah.
of the structure of the Sith, just because of his manipulation tactics. I think he would have
Yeah, he'd be on like Darth Janus.
charmed. Yeah, he would have charmed his way up the ranks and then had powerful allies. That's why I love the whole structure in this Sith thing, where you have like your Barris's, but then you have the guy below him that's also a desk jockey, but he's kind of a Darth. And then I like that whole dynamic there, and I think
It's like-
Sidious would have thrived. And I don't know.
It's like the American military, where like 4-star generals have a full burn colonel as their secretary.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I like the way they structure it here. And then I think he's obviously, abilities wise, would have been right up there. I mean, you could make a case for him against really anyone. I think Malgus would have maybe gave him some trouble just because of his sheer speed and brutality.
Malgus to me is the Obi-Wan of the Sith Order. He's just he's
Just a tank.
he's no joke. He's no joke. He's a tank. He's underrated, but he's
fast.
incredibly powerful. You know,
He doesn't really have a weakness. He's just as
no,
fast,
yeah.
strong, tanky. He's smart, and he just.
I think
does
Obi-Wan gets overshadowed because of that duel on Mustafar, and because of Alec Guinness's performance and his defeat by Darth
Yeah.
Vader. But like Obi-Wan's the one the council turned to deal with Grievous. Obi-Wan's the one the council turned to take his Padawan to go face Dooku during the Clone Wars. You know, Obi-Wan was no joke. He was one of the most powerful Jedi of that generation. And so Malgus and Obi-Wan, that would actually be a good fight.
Yeah, I think Malgus' only real weakness, I think, is just lack of wanting to be involved in the political game, which
Yeah.
I think he just. So it's
Well,
like,
he
I
did
don't
try
care
to
about
become
whatever you
emperor.
guys- I mean, I guess he kind of did, but in like a
The
weird
false
way.
emperor.
Like, I want to be an emperor, but I don't want to actually do any of the political things.
Right. He's kind of like Vader in that regards. He's the old Republic Vader.
Yeah.
I want to rule,
scary,
but
yeah.
I don't want to do this. I'm going to delegate.
Yeah, that'd be a. Yeah, can you imagine him in the new universe? Like, he just would be a. God, he'd just be like pissed off that everybody's just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
He'd just single-handedly just start wiping people out, just the whole armies.
He'd
Let
be
me
like,
weed whack
rule of
these
two. What
guys."
is this? This is stupid. What do you mean rule of two? No, you're a Sith.
What are you guys just
You're a
sitting here
Sith.
for?
What's the Inquisitorius? No, you're a Sith. You're a Sith. Oh, speaking of Starkiller and the Inquisitorius, so the reason Starkiller no longer works in canon is because in the Force Unleashed games, he is the Inquisitor. He's the guy that Darth Vader sends to go deal with the Jedi that Darth Vader doesn't want to deal with. You know, that's his job. Is the Sith Inquisitors. Like, they took his role and divided it up against a group. And I don't think it would work anymore. He's too powerful. Like, they'd have to nerf him so bad. But it would
Yeah,
be
and I
cool.
kind of always do like a video game debuff whenever I like try to think of any. Like, even Cal needs a heavy
Yeah.
debuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even aside, it doesn't really make sense for Vader's character, as Vader is very different in those games, and I don't think it would work with what they've tried to do with him now. And even in the games, it seems sort of out of place. Like, he had a motive, but it didn't really make sense, because when he killed him the first time, they could have just took Sidious then. That was a prime opportunity. He was strong enough at that point, and they were pretty much in an open area with not many troops around, so it wouldn't have been. I don't know. He just seemed like he had an idea of he wanted to do this, but then he's like scared to ever do it. It was like, okay. And Sidious just didn't seem to really care. It's kind of an odd, like,
Yeah.
okay, you betrayed me, but don't do it again,
Right.
or I'll be really mad.
Well, there was that. So those games kind of really emphasized the Force Unleashed games. They emphasized the nature of the Sith. Like, in my mind, Sidious was more upset that Vader picked someone that wasn't up to snuff. You know, because the rule of two suggests that there is really just one Sith Lord and a backup one. And if that backup one he becomes more powerful and overthrows the main Sith, that's the natural order in the circle of life, so to speak. And then that way it ensures the top dark side user is the master of the Sith. That's just kind of like the natural order. Sidious just never wanted to give that up. He wanted to live forever like Valkorion. But like there was almost like my interpretation of that now, looking back on those games, having not played them in a couple years all the way through, it was almost like Sidious was like, come on, Vader, come on. Dude, are you going to be my apprentice or not? You should have been trying to betray me a couple times by now. He's like, and when I was your age, I already killed my master. And, that sort of thing. Like,
well, the whole rule
almost,
too doesn't make any sense anymore with the Inquisitors. It's just like, okay, so those don't count.
Well, and that's it. Like, it doesn't make sense in regards to, like, it limits them. Like, there's, heir and a spare sort of deal. I like the comic book backstory that on Exegol, Darth Sidious had an entire Sith cult and like 1,000 people waiting to step up to replace Vader if he wasn't, making the cut. But you never get that in on television or on the big screen or what. And you don't get that. That
Yeah, and
doesn't
I just
translate well.
Rule Tool just needs to be dropped because it just doesn't like
It does.
Palpatine's ambitions just don't seem to make sense because it's like he's so adamant that the rule of two needs to exist, but then he does everything to ensure that he never dies. And then it's like, I don't, you're just contradicting yourself, man. This,
That's the best part of episode 8 is where Kylo Ren is like, still trying to hold Rey's hand for the 500th time, and he's just like, no, you're still thinking the old way. The Jedi to Sith, that's stupid. That's the best part of that entire trilogy is when he just calls it out. He's like, no, you're still stuck on the way things were. That doesn't make sense.
because you think of everything like that. I don't know. It's that he's done to try to keep himself alive, and like the other examples, even in like this game or something, where somebody's paranoid about dying, they end up like going crazy trying to kill every possible person that could kill them before they're even born. And Palpatine's just like, nah, you try to kill me, and then but I'm also never gonna die. So then it's like,
Right.
so then you come back, and then you're gonna have to kill him anyway. It's I don't understand what your point is there. I don't think they did either.
I mean, yeah.
By the whole
trapped
bringing
in-
him back.
Trapped in that philosophy, Palpatine is like the perfect representation of that. And like it almost makes sense from his point of view. He's like, no, I'm not Darth Sidious. I am not Palpatine. I am the Sith. And when he's talking to Rey in episode 9, that kind of makes sense. He's like, no, you kill me, I'm going to live on through you because you were a culmination of all the Sith. He was talking almost as if, like the Sith Inquisitor storyline in SWTOR. She takes all those Force ghosts into her.
I am curious. Is it more like a Zash situation where Palpatine would take over her body literally, like Zash does, or is he just being more like, "You'll get my power, but I'm gonna be like part of your subconscious or dead again"? I don't know if they ever really explained it, but I like the idea of like the Zash thing where it's like she's literally just stealing your body.
I always took it as less of like the individual retains their consciousness like a Jedi does as a Force ghost, and more of my spirit, my essence, my will, my desire lives on, and like part of me is still conscious that I'm doing what I'm doing, but like I still feel like Rey Palpatine, Empress of the Galaxy, would have still made her choices. They just would have been drenched and soiled in all the Sith's desire.
Yeah, that's like, well, why did you come back in the first place?
Yeah, like if you just wanted to die, like what was the point?
Well, you want to just keep dying
really
by yourself?
Really, it just comes down to J.J. Abrams is a bad writer, but
yeah, I don't know who wrote those movies, but yeah, that's.
I know for episode 7, he was boasting about because he made that social media post of him sitting on a set writing out the script or whatever, and I'm just like, you're on the set, you shouldn't be writing a script. This picture flopped, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wish they would have just made Snoke his own villain.
Snoke should have been Darth
I wish it would have been Plagueis. That would have been a great story right there. Basically, like, yeah, you bitch thought I'd really died, but screw you.
No,
I'm still here.
Exactly, because like we have the book Darth Plagueis, which Disney has proven time and time again that they'll make whatever they want into Legends and just kick it out of canon for no reason. So like they have Darth Plagueis, who is set up to be the only Sith Lord that learned how to cheat death. Like that's the whole point. That's Anakin's fall. That's his motivation. That's how Darth Vader was born. That's the entire point. And they had an opportunity. They even used that music when at the space opera when Palpatine tells Anakin about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. That music is used in episode 7 when Kylo Ren is in that meeting with giant Snoke. Like they set it up for that.
That's why the only reason I was excited for that damn movie, because I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't love the first movie, but I was like, I could do away with a lot of the cliche, basically remaking the other movie. But then it was like, at least there's a cool villain. We can all ponder who he probably is. And that's why
yeah,
years were spent doing that thing. Yeah, this is the same music, so it's gotta be Plagueis. And I was like, that'd be so
that
cool if it's Plagueis. And
dude. I wrote a
then,
college paper on the fact that it was Plagueis and that Rey was going to be Luke's. That was the year I got out of the army and I went back to school for a couple semesters. I wrote a whole college paper about how it made sense for that to be Darth Plagueis and for Rey to be Luke and Mara's daughter. None of that happened.
yep,
Man,
missed opportunity.
I love that this has devolved to us just shitting on the sequels again.
It always does.
Always
Try not
does.
to, but it does. All right, what else do we need to cover?
Oh man. Zero Company. So, did you watch that last trailer?
I did.
What do you think of Anakin showing up? And why does he look so weird?
I did think he looked a little odd.
We-
They might do some
We know what
retooling there.
Anakin looks like. Do you not have the rights to Hayden's face? I mean, we know Disney captures those. Like, why does he look weird?
I wonder there might be some tweaking there because he did look a little something wrong there.
Just off, right?
But overall, I mean, it's just XCOM, Star Wars XCOM, which I love XCOM, so that's my jam. But yeah, I'm excited for it. But when does that come out?
I don't know. I'm still not sold on that game. I don't know if I want to play it.
Yeah, it probably won't be a thing. But I think at least it does have looks like a cutscene story, which is kind of cool.
Like
I've never really
like a
played
Boulder's.
a game like that.
It looks like Star Wars BG3.
Yeah, similar-ish. XCOM's the I mean, these are the people that made XCOM, so that's why it's always being referred to. But XCOM's more like tactical battlefield kind of setup than Baldur's Gate. Like, it's more like just the area you're in on the map. This is more like strategic battlefield setup most of the time in XCOM. So you're kind of trying to plan out your more of an army type movements than just your characters. But yeah, it's similar in a way. But yeah, I do like the whole, they said even your heroes can die and you need to weigh your decisions, like when to send them.
Yeah.
There's actual consequence, which is kind of cool, and it changed the narrative of morale. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of pretty heavy systems.
I do like the idea of character deaths driving a story based off of player choices, and the customization looks cool. The fact that they're going, I don't know, it kind of seems like they're ripping off Bad Batch and making it a video game. That's the vibe I got. Like, okay, I've already seen Special Forces during the Clone Wars. I've already seen Special Forces during Clone Wars interact with Anakin Skywalker. You know, I mean, obviously, Republic Commandos have got they've got their own game, which isn't very big, but they've got their own 6-book novel series. And I love the idea of Special Forces in Star Wars, especially Battlefront 2, the story with the Inferno Squad, and they later, transitioned to the Rebellion. I like Special Forces. That makes sense. Every Warfront has the Special Forces. But I feel like I've already seen what they're about to give me, and I just don't care.
I do like that you can make your own character. That's kind of cool.
I would rather see Republic Commandos.
I wasn't expecting you to have your own player character, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, customization looks great. The game looks great. The story itself, repetitive as it might be, looks somewhat entertaining. I would buy that in an episode of Clone Wars. I would be okay with it. I don't know if it needed its whole game. I still have never played Outlaws.
I'm actually gonna play that pretty soon. I think I bought it a long time ago when it was on sale. I just haven't played it, but at some point
I would much rather them. I would much rather them complete Knights of the Old Republic and sell that to us as a remake. I'd so desperately want anybody to finish Eclipse. I want that story. That looked cool as hell. Even though that won't ever happen. And I'm excited for the pod racing game. I give two shits about whatever story they're going to try to peddle down our throat for that game. I just want to do pod racers again. Star Wars racing used to be like a foundational cornerstone of video games when we were kids.
Yeah, I am
Man,
excited for that too because I don't play racing games anymore, and it'd
no,
be kind of cool to jump back into something like that.
yeah, it's nostalgic and in a good way. Like, and not in a Disney's giving us a remake of The Lion King shot by shot, but like, you guys haven't had a racing game in 20 years. Here you go.
My only
But
fear is like they're gonna lock all the cool things behind
microtransactions.
transactions, but hopefully they don't
Well,
do that.
hopefully, because like the big sell point now for video games is like, look how little transactions we have. Everything's in game current. That seems to be the trend right now. So I hope that carries over. But it's Disney and they're greedy, so probably won't happen. Your fears are probably going to be realized.
That's probably why and I think that's why most Star Wars games don't get made. Is just because Disney has such a huge licensing fee. That's not worth it.
Speaking of the Force Unleashed games, the game I still want more than any other game is the Luke Skywalker game, where he goes to Jedi sites, cleansing them of like whatever Palpatine and the Empire did to them, like when you're a Star Killer and you have to go back to the Jedi Temple before they decided it was the Imperial Palace, and it's just a ruin, and you have to fight the Force ghosts and the evil spirits and stuff like that. That's still the game series I want. I want Luke cleansing old Jedi sites of their evil spirits. That would be fun.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, and it would match with like what we think he's doing, because we know after from the storyline in Battlefront 2, we know Luke went looking for Jedi stuff after the Empire's fall. He did not hang out and help the New Republic like at all. He promptly fucked off to go do his own thing.
Yeah, I would like that. Nice.
Oh man, what else? What else is going on in the wars? The wars.
Oh, I think that was about it.
I think that's about it. Is there any projects coming up? I know.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I that's pretty good. That's a good run.
That's pretty good. We only had
we had 3 topics and shitting on the sequels. I feel that's good.
Yeah, that's a good round. You always gotta shit on the sequels at the end.
Always.
Yeah, it's a good time to be in Star Wars right now, for once.
Well, for first time in a while.
Yeah, years.
Looking at we're all moved in now, and
Nice.
Emily's got her library set up. She got all 6 bookshelves up, and
All 6.
I'm gonna get. I'll send you a picture. It's kind of, we have an entire wall just of bookshelves, and the only shelf that's not up yet is because I haven't bought it yet, because I wanted a new kind of like an LED spacey type shelf, but I can't wait to set up the Star Wars shelf and display all the Star Wars books. I want to get. I have my 2 lightsabers. I'm going to put on wall mounts on either side of it, so it's like an ambient light as it hits it from the sabers.
You still using the Cinder Block Entertainment Center?
Oh, of course I'm using the Cinder Block Entertainment Center. Are you kidding me?
It took me a second to even notice that it actually looked so good. I was like, oh, it's a nice entertainment setup. And then I zoomed in closer. I was like, wait a minute, those are Cinder Blocks.
Those are Cinder Blocks. Yeah, I got them for $2 a piece at Home Depot. Eventually I want to. Well, so here's the thing. I picked out this really beautiful blue wood stain. I think it's like, it's got some kind of nautical name to it. I don't remember what it was, but it's a beautiful day. It's a hot day. The sun's out. Man, the humidity down here is next level. It's insane. And but it's nice outside. And so I get home from Home Depot, and I'm excited to start this project. And I lay these boards out on cardboard, and I'm started staining them. And I got the first coat of stain on. The sun is shining. It's muggy. I'm like, oh, it dries so quick. It's gonna be great. immediately, almost as soon as I finished the third board, just one side of it, it started pouring. And it has been raining every day for the last 2 weeks because we came up here for a visit before we actually moved. And it is just every single day it rains. So what I want to do with this is I want to restain these boards again on a time it's not raining, but I also want to paint the cinder blocks black, so it kind of jets out a little bit more. But yeah, I saw this project on TikTok, I think, and I was like, well, all you're doing is stacking cinder blocks and wood. I can do that.
That's a
Like that's not
project
a
for
hard
me.
project. Like that's easy. But yeah, I wanna restain it, repaint it, and get some lights thrown on it, make it a real thing. I think that. But yeah,
Nice. I like it.
nice. I got the whole Bat archive set up. I haven't had my comic books, my graphic novels in a place where I can see them in like 2.5 years. So this is pretty special. I can sit on my couch and look at all the books that I read on my iPad now.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, if you got nothing else, I think I'll drop off.
All
And
right,
it's
me
been a
too.
couple hours, and
I'm gonna take a nap.
yeah. Well, no, I got more boxes to unpack, but yeah, we'll
I'm gonna go
you
take a
take
nap.
you go take your nap. You enjoy that nap.
I will. We'll be back
All
whenever
right.
we got something to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. It shouldn't be too long. A couple months, maybe. I don't know.
I'm sure we'll have something to argue about.
We'll find something. Definitely. All right, man. I will talk to you later. It's been real.
Good night. Goodbye.
Bye.
And goodbye to all of you as well. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe. Check out my main channel if you want to watch some marathon content. Doing a lot of that over there. I also have games played slowly, playing through Cyberpunk still. Trying to finish that one up. Yeah, at some point in the near future, I would like to play... what is the Ubisoft Star Wars game? My God. Star Wars Outlaws. So, keep looking out for that. All right.